My husband's best friend is being an absolute creep at our daughter's sweet 16th birthday party. Me, 42F, and my husband, 45Me, never have any big problems. We have 5 children, 17, 16F, 14, 10 6 and any fights we do have are over them, which is what this was. We have a pool, and we had a large amount of people here this weekend to celebrate my daughter's sweet 16. Of course, most of the guests were teenage girls, boys, but family and friends of me and my husband's came too. One of these friends was my husband's best friend, also 45, and girlfriend 32. We will call him H. I've never been too extremely fond of him or the age gap between him and his girlfriend. But alas, our children do consider and call him their uncle. I'm close enough to his girlfriend to consider her a close friend, though. Since all my daughter's friends were all having big sweet 16 parties, she wanted one too. So the pool was all decorated, and so was the inside and outside. And per her request, she was the only one at the party in a red bathing suit so she would stand out. The party was going great until I was in the laundry room grabbing stuff when I overheard H talking in the room over, most likely on his phone. He was saying how she was hotter than the girls he'd known as a teen, and he kind of wished she was turning 18, not 16. That any boy who fudged her would be doing a service to God, and she looked too good in a red bathing suit. I stopped. I wasn't immediately jumping to action. I was confused. This is a man my children grew up with, who babysitted them, stayed many nights over at our house, talking about my daughter in a way no one should talk about a child. I marched outside and dragged my husband into the house to the room H was in. I'll admit, I yelled and told H he wasn't allowed in my house or around any of our family again, especially our daughter, and to leave immediately before telling my husband anything.
H got red in the face and cussed at me and my husband for eavesdropping. I screamed at H to tell my husband what he was saying in my house about my daughter. H got even more mad before storming out and leaving in his girlfriend's car, without his girlfriend.
My husband was getting irritated and demanded to know what happened, so I took a second to calm down before telling him. He told me we would deal with it later and just let our daughter have a great rest of the party. I agreed and we rejoined that party, even though we got a few looks. His girlfriend came up to me towards the end asking why H was spamming her phone, telling her that I was a bitch, a-hole, basically all the derogatory terms you can think, even going as far to say I was a huge just like my slag daughter. I was extremely appalled and dragged her over to my husband, who gave me an exasperated look. He told me to let it die for just a bit and he will talk to H after the party. That was yesterday afternoon, and my husband just recently came home after meeting up with H and staying the night. He said I was overreacting, that H wasn't even talking about our daughter, that I shouldn't have acted the way I did all day, and I was connecting dots that weren't supposed to be connected. I was upset and told him even if it wasn't our daughter he was talking about, he's still talking about a 16-year-old in an inappropriate way. We argued for a long time before eventually he left again, saying he was going to drive to blow off steam. Now I'm in the bathroom shaking and crying. How am I supposed to just sit back and allow this creep near any of my children? I love my husband, and I think he's just been blinded by his loyalty to his friend. I don't want to get a divorce, especially because I live across the country from my family, and I don't want to leave my husband. I love him, but he isn't taking me seriously in a serious situation.
I keep thinking, even if he wasn't talking about my daughter, he was still talking about someone the age of my daughter. It's wrong in so many ways. I would have still acted this way if it was about someone else at the party.
I keep thinking this is a nightmare and I'm going to wake up, but no, it's reality. I'm just overwhelmed and don't know what to do. Please help me. Edit. My husband still isn't back from his drive. I have a suspicion he might be out with H because I called H's girlfriend, we're gonna call her S now, to tell her everything. She told me he left that morning and hasn't been home since. Either me or my son are going to swing by her apartment and she's gonna stay over here for a few nights. I don't think she can stand to see H any more than I can. She's been angry at him ever since the text messages. I've told my eldest son. He acted the way my husband should have acted. He's angry and ready to hop in the car and find both H and my husband. I feel bad involving him, but I need him to know what happened so he can protect his siblings. I'm unsure how I'm going to approach the rest of the kids with this, but I am going to have separate talks with all of them about any inappropriate behavior H might have had. My eldest son told me that H never did anything to him. He noticed some behavior which was always strange, but he blamed it on just being weird. So here are my plans. H isn't going to be allowed near any of my kids, ever. This is a fine line. If I decide to stay with my husband and he tries to cross it, then he will be the next one to go. BTW legal people, can I get a restraining orders? Is that how that works? I'm going to tell my husband he isn't allowed home or allowed to talk to my kids. This is until I tell all of my children what happened, have talk with each of them separately, and me and him have a talk in a public space. I'm thinking cafe or park, with a friend there to mediate. Anything he needs until then can be brought to him by his sister. Me and S are going to go through my husband's stuff and whatever she can grab from her and H's apartment. We're looking for any CP or things that are suspicious. I'm also worried about this third man, the one on the phone. Maybe S knows them. Also, not immediately the moment she gets here. We are going to wait until maybe tomorrow or even the next day. Edit 2. I didn't automatically assume my husband was into CP. It had been suggested by S over the phone after she read some of the comments on Reddit. She wanted to check H's stuff and said we should check my husband's too. It's just in case. Also, I don't know why my husband has been MIA for the past few nights. Maybe he's just waiting for me to calm down. I haven't sent the stay away message yet, which I might not. But whenever we talk, I'll be asking all these questions and more. My husband and H met in high school and have been friends since. I'm quite used to my husband not backing me up, telling me I'm over-exaggerating or setting me aside has been often in our relationship. I guess this has really opened my eyes about the past. I don't plan on divorcing him yet, even though I know I jumped the gun on it last night. If there is something that I find suspicious or will make me reconsider this, it'll be thought about long and hard. I still love my husband. I know he loves all of our kids. I'm just waiting for him to admit or to apologize. About my kids, I will be talking to my daughter very soon, and all of y'all's advice has helped me so much on how to approach it. Update. Okay guys, I think I've figured this out. A lot happened today, and I'm stressed typing this. So for those who did not see my comment earlier, I'm not getting a divorce with my husband at this time. If anything sketchy or something I see that crosses a line, that notion may change though. I did not immediately assume my husband was into CP, it's something I assumed H was into. While on a phone call with S, she said we should go through my husband's things too. I agreed. Me and my husband have an open phone policy anyways. I'll admit I've never checked his phone since our second was born. So it's not like I was pushing boundaries by saying this. So today I had a very long talk with my second eldest son and my daughter. I told them what happened, though save a few details, like the text messages, and simply said that H had been saying inappropriate things. I told them that whatever happens going forward, it's not their fault, nor is it my daughter's in any way. It's the pedophilic mind of someone we trusted. I asked them if he or anyone had done anything to any of them, and if they had, that I wouldn't be angry at them, and would be proud they spoke up. My daughter said he would sometimes get too close, put his arm around her shoulders, but nothing that ever made her alarm bells go off in her head. I reiterated to her that she was not to blame for what happened, and it's all on H. We hugged and I held her as she cried for a bit. My second eldest son was quiet, which he often is, but he told me that he never really liked H and thought he was weird. I asked him again if anything happened, and he said no. We talked about more things to do with this type of stuff, and I think it ended well. My two youngest children simply know that H did bad stuff and we won't be seeing him for a long, long time. Then around lunchtime, my husband came home. I never did go through with telling him to stay away, and he was basically sobbing at my feet outside our front door. He told me he was so confused and angry about what happened that he was convinced his best friend wasn't like that. That he had been drinking last night after he left and fell into a bit of self-hatred. He wasn't with H though, but he had been texting with him that night. I asked him why he never stood up for me and my daughter, why he stayed the night with H. He said I was making a scene at our daughter's B-Day party and didn't want to ruin the day for her, and he stayed the night because it was too late anyways by the time he stopped talking with H. I hate this apology though. Maybe it's the comments echoing in my ears, but it felt fake and that he was minimizing my pain and maximizing his. I'm not sure. He went silent when he saw S at the house though. I told him that she was staying a few nights. I didn't give him much of an explanation. Later, when I started to make dinner, he came up behind me and hugged me. I pushed him back, told him that I didn't want any physical touch with him anytime soon. He got angry, telling me that it was over now, that he apologized and promised to stand up for us in the future. I told him that he has to make up for what he did in the past first, that he needs to talk with our daughter. He went to go sulk somewhere, and I haven't really seen much of him since. Hopefully that made enough sense as I'm rushing the last bit. Shout out to everyone who's been helping me. It's just a lot to do in a short time now that my husband is already back in the home.